Let the vengeance begin!
Howdy, howdy, TzuDevil here, and welcome to Game 5 of Shadow Online Gaming's tournament. We have the Clan Angren, the Dwarfs, up against Turin and Chaos for this game. Now, for my army, it's exactly as I said in my prep video. I have 3 units of Ironbreakers, 1, 2, 3 in my front line, flanked by units of Longbeards. I also have for my anti-Kolek division, the Thunderers here, 2 units of Bugman's Rangers for Kolek duty and for light armored duty, and these Uthar's Raiders where I can use Marked by Uthar. I do have my Rune Lord with the Locust of Power for that extra 15% magic resistance, and the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin to slow Kolek down. I also have my Dragonback Slayers who can also slow Kolek down, and my other 2 groups of Slayers that defend the back line. Now for Turin's army, pretty much what I expected, a few changes. Now for his front line, he has those Chaos Warriors with great weapons, which we knew were coming. He actually has 3 of them, plus a unit of Chosen with great weapons. I didn't expect this at all. So he has 4 units and not 3, so he has more than my front line, but he also brought just some Chaos Marauders, but he did bring some Forsaken. Where are they? Right there on his edges for his infantry lineup. And he does of course have Kolek Sun Eater, which he really likes in this matchup. And he has this Chaos Sorcerer with Death, and again just the Forbidden Rod, the Fate of Buna, Spirit Leech, and Life Leeching. And what did he bring for Kolek? He did bring Standard Eye, plus 16 leadership and 27 melee defense. I didn't expect, but he definitely has Lord of the Storm. For his edges, he has a group of Poison Warhounds on this side, and he has a big Cav contingent on this side. He has some more Poison Warhounds. Where are they? Right here. He does have these 2 units of Marauder Horsemen for throwing axes, which he brings to defend against Gyrocopters, and he has a group of Chaos Knights with lances, which I didn't expect at all. So we'll let the fight start. My whole entire plan is to get a few early shots around the edges. I'm going to try and shoot at these Chaos Warhounds with poison just to get a little bit of a fight in, try and get some early shots with these Thunders, and really I want to spring my trap against Kolek to slow him down and try and just attack him really hard. So I'm getting one shot against the Chosen, but I'm going to change my target. He's going to get Lord of the Storm onto these Ironbreakers right away and start focusing down these Ironbreakers. Now he's coming in a little bit with these Marauder Horsemen, just a bit of a feint. I do have my Slayers on this side, I have my Longbeards, so I'm going to be able to shoot back and do a ton of damage to those guys, no problem. He's gotten these Chaos Warhounds right around my front line. Now he's just going back and forth looking at my line with Kolek. I'm going to start shooting at him and try and bring my Thunderers back into this position here so I can get ready to spring my trap against Kolek. And this is just a beautiful move. He just jukes my Slayers right around them. So here he comes. Kolek is not going to get a lot of damage into these Ironbreakers, so I can use all of my abilities, get my Uthar's Raiders shooting. I do have the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin for the minus 48% speed, and I've got my Bugman's Rangers, and I get a rear charge here from these damn Chaos Warhounds, but I do put the Marked by Uthar onto him, and I've got these guys trying to shoot over, and I've got some shots, but he just takes Kolek and says, I see your plan, I don't like your plan, I'm not going to let you do your plan. So meanwhile, he's been focusing really hard on these Ironbreakers. He's brought in these Chaos Knights with lances, he's brought in the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes just to bring really close and shoot, and he's got his Chosen with great weapons on these Ironbreakers. He's just buckling this area so he can just punch a hole right in the middle of my line. And now he's just going to be able to come through whichever way he likes because I have a hole in my line. I tried to brought these Slayers to back off some of these guys, but now he's going to see that and bring the Forsaken to meet up on my Slayers. We know that's a bad matchup. I have been able to intercept these Chaos Marauders with my Longbeards. I'm going to try and just push out my Bugman's Rangers and get them into a firing position. I've got my Slayers sort of tied up. I've got to bring them back and get them out of that engagement. Find some good targets. I'm going to try and shoot these Chosen with my Uthar's Raiders. I've got my Dragonback Slayers in the back. I'm just trying to get away from those Chosen with my Rune Lord. I just don't want to be in that engagement at all. And he's caught my Slayers, unfortunately, these Forsakens, and they're just going to start crushing him. These Longbeards are going to lose this fight with the Chaos Warriors, but they're holding. And he's got these Chaos Knights into my Bugman's Rangers. He's just going roughshod all through my back line. He's pushing around, trying to get his units into finding good places. He's brought Kolek back into the battle now that all of my units are tied up. My Thunders have routed off. I've got my Iron Breakers have routed off, and now he's just trying to pull in and get those guys. I'm trying to bring my Longbeards back to help fight that, and he's already put his Chaos Warhounds on these Bugman Rangers. Now these Bugman Rangers will hold out just fine. They're going to do fine in this engagement. So I try and just get a rear charge into these Chaos Warriors with great weapons with the Slayers. I've got to do something to try and reform sort of a pocket here and a pocket here and get my line sort of defensible again. So I got my Longbeards up against Chaos Marauders. That's just fine. They're going to do good, but the Chaos Marauders are way cheaper than these Longbeards, so it's a good engagement for him. And now he's got full control of that pocket, really that gap that he opened up in here and came through, and he can use these Marauders to shoot wherever he wants in here because my units are tied up. I'm trying to use my Rune Lord to push off those Forsaken, reform my line, and at least shoot somewhere, and bring my Rune Lord in. I'm going to get this Master Rune of Wrath and Rune on the Chosen. I've got to do something. They're just murdering me down the pocket. So he's going to bring Kolek back into the Longbeards, back into this side of the engagement. I have beat the Chaos Marauders. They are clear. I'm doing another rear charge on these Chaos Warriors with great weapons, just to try and finish off these guys so I can try and at least reform a line somewhere in here. I'm trying to fight real hard on this side with my Rune Lord against the Forsaken. He's armored. They don't have armor piercing, so at least I can hold. But now these Chaos Warriors with great weapons have gotten in my back line. He's got full control of this side, really this side of the battlefield, and my pockets over here is getting smaller and smaller. So I have a little bit on this side, but he's basically come to finish off these Bugman's Rangers, and then just he can come in and collapse on my final pocket. I've got to bring my Rune Lord somewhere. I want to finish off those Chosen and at least get them stable. I do have some Longbeards in here. I do have a few units of Slayers back. I want to get these Slayers onto Kolek, but Kolek is now, I don't have anything to slow him down. He's just a little too fast. He's just going to come right around me and bring in these Forsaken again to get after these Slayers because they do so good in that matchup. I need to bring my Rune Lord in to do something to try and hold this pocket. I just want to hold. I've got some Slayers. Kolek has a ton of health left, but I can use those Slayers to work him down a little bit. Bring my Iron Breakers into there. These Bugman Rangers are still holding. They're doing a fantastic job on this side, just holding these Chaos Warhounds and the Chaos Knights. And I'm trying to reform, get in here, at least build up this pocket. I've got some of his units routing, but now he's bringing his Marauder Horsemen back around the side so he can get rear charges into my lines, come in onto this way. I'm trying to get onto Kolek. I'm not doing a lot of damage to him, and these Forsaken are just murdering me. And he's cycle charging now that these Marauder Horsemen have used all their ammunition, and he's going to start bringing in. He just wants to keep these guys routing, so he's going to finish off my Iron Breakers with these Marauder Horsemen, and then he can come in. So he's already brought these Chaos Knights with Lances back in, finished off my Bugman's Rangers. Now he's going to bring in Kolek himself to the front line. He's finishing off these Longbeards, making sure that they're not going to come back. Now all I have left is this pocket. So Kolek is going to come and start beating down my Rune Lord, but he's just going to come in, take a shot, go out, and then come back in and just start cycle charging. And these guys are now just going to start cycle charging. So basically he's breaking my Rune Lord. I don't have very many Slayers left, and really I just have a few Slayers. That's all I have left in this battle. This guy's going to fight like a champ because he's awesome. And there goes his head. And there goes my head. Really fun fight. Awesome battle. Bringing up the Dowie up against Turin. I had a plan, did my best to execute that plan. He did bring 3 units of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and the big thing that was really the MVP were these Chosen with great weapons. I know he doesn't generally like to bring them because they're vulnerable to some Dowie countermeasures, but boy did these Chaos Knights and these Forsaken do work. Really, these are absolute champs. The Chosen, the Forsaken, he just went through my Slayers. I just couldn't get a good matchup against these Forsaken. I wanted to get the Longbeards on him, but he had one too few units. He had 6 units of infantry, and I only had 5, so I had no answer. He was always going to have a unit free, and aside from that, he just punched a hole right in my front line of Iron Breakers that he was focusing his Lord of the Storm and Fate of Buna. He focused his Chosen with great weapons and brought in his Chaos Knights with lances. It was just beautiful. We'll go and do the after action report, but the Chaos Warriors 37, 39, 101, they did well. These Forsaken were amazing, 120. These Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes got off all of their ammunition, 123 with these Chaos Knights, fantastic. Now, the Chaos Warhounds didn't do much work in terms of kills, but they tied early on, they tied up my Ulthar's Raiders, and then they went and tied up my Bugman's Rangers, so I really couldn't get much done with that, so I unleashed my plan, and he just took Kolek and said, nope, we're not. I don't like your plan, the plan that involves Kolek getting burst down by all the Dowie ranged units. I'm just going to go back and wait for all the rest of my units to engage your units, and then I'll come back and fight with Kolek. So it was really awesome, actually. So Longbeards 1474. You know, these were the Longbeards up against the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. We know that's not a good engagement for them, but the other Longbeards did fine, although slow. 28, 19, and 0. So these are the Ironbreakers that got absolutely murdered. You know, 0 kills for a unit that cost 1200. Very, very bad exchange for me. You know, these guys 28 and 19, they just weren't killing fast enough. And these Slayers got 84, 7, and 60. You know, they were killing a lot of the Poison Warhounds and maybe some of the other units that were in there. Only 22 and 11 with the Bugman's Rangers. You know, I could have definitely got a lot higher total with that had I focused on the Marauder Horsemen and eventually the Forsaken and the Chaos Warhounds, but my focus with them was on Kolek. I did unleash the plan. He removed him, and by the time Kolek came back to fight again, all of my infantry, my Lunders were routed, and the rest of my infantry were engaged. So great fun fight. Loved it. I was so excited about this fight. Did my best to build a plan and unleash it. And this is exactly the thing. You know, when you're playing against other players, you know, they don't have to let you execute your plan. You know, they don't let you have to follow it. And it was just a brilliant demonstration of exactly that, where, you know, he just took Kolek and said, nope, I'm not going to let you do that, and then just completely surrounded me. His micro around the edges just it's actually really glorious. So I'm going to do over the after action report, and even in slow motion, his micro is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. He gets every matchup he wants, almost, and he just micros through my units like they're not like there's one unit separating them, you know, of distance to go through, but like they're on complete separate sides of the battlefield. It's like he's walking his units through a barn door. It is beautiful to watch. So hope you found that battle interesting and fun to watch, exciting, and look forward to doing the after action report, where I'm going to go through this in slow motion, a little bit more detail, and then we'll look back at my army and my plan and see where I could have improved. So hope you found that interesting, and I will see you soon.